What's going on, guys, and welcome to my review on Little Nightmares 2. I already made a preview on this game and I really liked what I played back then. After that I also played the predecessor, which was really fun. And yeah, that's why I decided to review this game on my channel. Little Nightmares 2 is an adventure horror platformer developed by Tarja Studio and published by Bandai Namco. You play as the young boy Mono, who likes to wear a paper bag and who is accompanied by the sympathetic and sweet character we got to know in the first game, Dick. A weird TV tower is luring Mono, and that's why Mono and Six want to get to this tower and find out why it is luring Mono. The visuals in this game are really beautiful. It has a really nice art style with great lighting. Sometimes you can even see these little dust particles flying around. Even though the areas are pretty small, there are some where you can see many things far away, and this in combination with the lighting, the beautiful art style and the small little details enhance the atmosphere so much. The game gives you a feeling of loneliness, which is funny because most of the time Six is with you, but still the game managed to create this feeling. This gets underpinned by the visuals and the sound. Little Nightmares 2 has really good sound effects. The echo when you call Six and the echoes your footsteps make are a really big contribution to the atmosphere. The themes in this game are also pretty good, really creepy and also tense, just fitting for this game. This is my favorite theme. The best in terms of sounds in this game, however, are the weird noises the bosses make. Just listen to this one. I heard some of these noises before meeting the actual enemy, and sometimes, like in this particular example, the noises are even scarier than the bosses, which of course shows that they did a good job in terms of sounds, but it also shows that two bosses in particular in this game weren't as scary as they probably intended. Before I go into details of the gameplay, let me first talk about the gameplay loop. Overall, the game has a constant structure. You start out in an area with a boss, solve some puzzles, sometimes even fight some enemies. Yeah, you can do that, more details later. Then you meet the boss, stealth around a bit, finish the area, and then you arrive in some sort of transition area and repeat the loop. That's basically the gameplay loop. After playing the Little Nightmares 2 demo and after playing the first game, I was a little bit worried that the puzzles in this game are too easy and that the game would have many of these trial and error segments. I will explain later on what I mean with this, because these were for me the main issues when it comes to the first game. Unfortunately, Little Nightmares 2 has the same flaws. Some of the puzzles the game has were a small challenge, but most of them are really just easy, too easy. Maybe because they want to make this game appealing for as many people as possible. But in this case, definitely not for me. They tried to include some new forms of puzzles by including Six as a partner, and they definitely managed to do that. But sometimes Six is holding your hand too much by giving you some small hints, and that makes it even easier. Platforming feels exactly like in the first game. Not much changed besides that Six is helping to reach some new areas, but nonetheless it still remains the same. You can still grab onto the edges, you can climb, jump and slide. So like I said, no new game-changing elements when it comes to platforming. Before in this video I did mention trial and error segments. Little Nightmares 2 has lots of these segments where you get chased and where you have to run away while also doing some platforming. If you get stuck for not even a second, you are dead. You can't even know what's up ahead, and the bosses are scripted, meaning that at one point in these chasing segments you have to hide in some weird places because there isn't another way, and you can only find out where it is by dying multiple times. You don't die because it is hard, you die because you are forced to die, and honestly that could be annoying sometimes. The first game also had the exact same problem, and they tried to mitigate this in the second game by introducing Six as a partner who sometimes leads the way. but that doesn't happen too often in the platforming sequences. In terms of gameplay, the most fun parts were the stealth segments. They can be really tense and you can observe the things some bosses do. Some things are just really weird, you have to see it for yourself. It can be pretty silly, but I really appreciated it. I won't show you what the bosses do. I really would love to show it to you, but I don't want to spoil you the games. Generally speaking, the bosses clearly are the highlight of the game. Most of them have a really good design and are pretty scary, while others aren't scary at all, like the Hunter. And one boss in particular was actually pretty funny. I couldn't take him serious at all. Which was a nice change, and actually he's my favorite boss. Like I've mentioned before, there are segments in this game where you are able to fight against your enemies, or to put it more accurate, there are segments where you can defend yourself in some ways. You can pick up weapons and attack with these weapons. These attacks are really slow and you can jump while holding a weapon. The combat, if you can call it like that, isn't good at all. The game shouldn't lay a big emphasis on combat, it should rather focus on hiding from enemies. When it comes to bosses, they did the right choice. You can't fight the bosses directly, but for the most part when you encounter small enemies, you are forced to fight them. You can't hide, and honestly it really is annoying, especially these shitty hands in the game. The fights have the same problem the platforming has. Again, trial and error fights. You have to hit in the perfect moment, otherwise you're dead. Every enemy defeats you with just one hit, which again can be annoying. One good aspect of enemies and the combat is that the devs try to do something new each chapter by introducing new enemies and other threats into the game. All in all, Little Nightmares 2 offers much more variety than the predecessor, especially in terms of level design. The levels are much more creative than in Little Nightmares 1. They offer really nice variety within these levels by changing up different kinds of puzzles, including nice stealth sequences and some creative new forms of puzzles. They really nailed it when it comes to the variety of the locations. At first you're in this forest, then you end up in this big city, and after that you are in a school. The level design also offers much more variety than in the predecessor. So overall the game is pretty linear, but there are also levels where you have to do some backtracking. These levels are a little bit more open, and they also include many cool collectibles which aren't that easy to find. The best thing in terms of level design, however, is the environmental storytelling. The environments are filled with details, and often there are hints of what kind of bosses you have to face later on and how your next enemy could look like, you know? Little Nightmares 2 actually offers a really nice story, which surprised me a bit. The first one already surprised me with its story, and yeah, they managed to do that again with its sequel. It really offers some nice twists and really cool lore. The best in this game, however, is that they managed to tell a good story without using any words. They tell the story through the environment, through actions of the different characters and enemies. It honestly works really great. In my playthrough I didn't have any FPS drops and only 2 bugs. No game breaking bugs, only small ones like a boss being stuck for a short moment, or as you can see here, there isn't any collision applied even though you aren't supposed to go through here. And yeah, overall you can say that the devs really ensured that we have a nice experience, which is rare nowadays. Before I go over to my verdict, let me actually tell you what this game offers. It offers 5 to 6 hours of story, depending on how fast you play, and with all collectibles you can play between 8 to 10 hours. It isn't a long game, but that's a good thing, because it doesn't need to be any longer. I think if it would have been any longer, then the game would have been really annoying. Little Nightmares 2 is a really nice adventure. Overall it is better than the predecessor. It has some annoying segments, especially when it comes to the trial and error segments, but other than that, you can expect to play a good game with nice bosses, a really good atmosphere, and a good story with some nice twists. I won't give the game a score, I will only say if it is worth the price it has. The game costs 30 bucks, which is expensive for games like these, but still I would say that it is worth the money, even with its shortcomings. And yeah, that's it for today's video. What are your thoughts on this game? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you didn't, then give it a thumbs down. Thanks for watching, bye.